said bags? Who said bags?
Lockdowns don't save lives, lockdowns kill people.
Sack that Andrews! 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 Human rights matter! Human rights matter! Human rights matter!
And sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australia.
Sack that Andrews! No more lockdown! No more lockdown! No more lockdown!
Have a shot.
Sack that Andrews! Sack that Andrews! No more lockdown! Free Victoria! Free Victoria! Free Victoria! Free Victoria! Free Victoria! Free Victoria! Free Victoria!
Thanks for being here.
No more lockdown! No more lockdown! No more lockdown! No more lockdown! Sack that Andrews! Sack that Andrews! Sack that Andrews! Sack that Andrews! Sack that Andrews!
Human rights matter! Human rights matter!
Human rights matter!
Human rights matter!
Human rights matter!
Human rights matter!
Human rights matter! Lockdown take lives! Lockdown take lives! To the police today for doing that. Health matters!
Mental health matters!
Mental health matters!
Mental health matters!
Family, those who have lost those that they love, that mental health matters.
Blame big police!
Mental health matters!
Mental health matters!
Daniel Andrews has crushed this economy and now he's going to use taxpayers' money to try and recover it. We won't stand for him abusing our economy, shutting down people's businesses. All jobs are essential. Say it with me. All jobs are essential. All jobs are essential. All jobs are essential.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow at section 5123A of the Constitution, you cannot force or coerce any kind of medical service whatsoever. Mask wearing, quarantine, social distancing, hand sanitising, etc. It is absolutely unlawful. Case law has been set out about this over the past 50 years. Secondly, quarantine is for sick people. Quarantine has never been for healthy people. This is a restriction of our movement and is absolutely unlawful. It even comes under section 92 of the Constitution. You cannot restrict movement. The Biosecurity Act is invalid. All this bullshit that the Cho is getting his directives from are invalid. It all comes under the Public Health and Wellbeing Act. So what you need to do is, you need to ask the prosecutor, if you have not been assigned a prosecutor for your fines, you need to send a letter off to the prosecutorial department as a whole. You need to ask them to provide to you a control order that has been issued against you in your name. And as all of us know, no one has received a control order. This is all utter bullshit. When you go to court, make sure you ask for your control order in your name. Now, if the prosecutor attends the court and does not provide you with your control order, they will be guilty of prosecutorial misconduct. Everyone, I'm sure, knows the COVID tests are PCR tests. The PCR test was invented by Kerry Mullis.
Yes.
Now, Kerry Mullis categorically stated the PCR test was never to be used to test for infectious disease. Its purpose is to collect DNA and RNA. And this is exactly what they are doing. The whole thing is a chain, and once you start to join the dots, there's no going back. So, the Australian Strategic Logistics Institute produced a report and gave it to the government. It was alerting the government, warning them that the PCR tests were harvesting DNA. That was their purpose. The government disregarded this report and ordered 10 million tests. Now, this is going back a couple of years prior to this. It shows how long this has been in the planning. This has been planned for a long time. It hasn't happened overnight. It didn't just happen in 2020. Now, you also need to look at these alleged vaccines are not vaccines.
Yes.
What they are putting into your system, other than a mix of poisons, is a spike protein, which is going to affect the DNA in our cells. And it is irreversible. It is going to be stored in your genome, and you will pass it on to your children. And your children will pass it on to their children's children. We have got to stand up for the future generations of this country. We have now got the largest class action in Australian history. We are up to 13,000 people. You can go to makeaustraliahealthyagain.org and join us there. Please join our class action. We are asking people to support us in all of our fights against the breach of our Constitution. I just come from an 11-hour meeting submitting more writs into the High Court. We have got a big job ahead of us, but we are going to fight this. We are asking the questions of law that we know the answers to. It's a joint effort, people. Great to see so many here. I'll hand this over. Please go to makeaustraliahealthyagain.org. Join us in our class actions.
Thank you everyone who's been coming here today so far, and for all those people who have been standing up for their rights over the past year. We have to make sure that we're looking out for future generations. When it comes to the Human Rights Charter in Victoria, they have to make sure that they justify any restrictions that they're putting on our rights. They have to demonstrate the evidence to the public, and they have to do a human rights assessment. Have any of you seen the evidence? Have any of you seen the human rights assessment? I can tell you there are members of Parliament asking for those assessments, and you want to know what they got told? It was a 15-minute thought. Nothing was even written down. We have to make sure that we're demanding better from our politicians. We have to make sure that we're demanding to see the evidence. We need an informed public. We have to make sure that we defend informed consent. All those people who are in the front line, we have to make sure that we're standing up for their rights as well. It is not fair for them to be put into this position where they're going to be the first ones to get the jab. Well, we say no. We have to make sure that every person, whether you want to take it or not, does it, makes their decision with informed consent. We have to make sure that the evidence is presented to the public. Make your own decision. It doesn't matter. No one's here to tell you what you have to do. We want to make sure that everyone has their freedom of choice. We want to make sure we defend that freedom of choice. In a democracy, people are allowed to have freedom of speech, to be able to discuss ideas. Now we're being told that anything that goes against the government's medical authority, they're basically telling us we can't go against their consensus. Otherwise they label us. Well, guess what? There are countless doctors out there who know this isn't right. Look up the COVID Medical Network if you want to be able to see the doctors that are speaking up. in support of the fact that lockdowns are not an appropriate way to be able to deal with this situation. Alright? Lockdowns are a temporary measure, they say. The World Health Organization has said that lockdowns are not the solution, and yet we got states all across Australia locking down. We got other states like Queensland and Western Australia locking down over one case. Well, what do you think of that? Do you say no?
No!
Human rights matter!
Human rights matter!
Human rights matter! There are countless people who are sitting on the fence. We are here to be their voice. For all those people who know that something isn't right, but they just don't know what to say. Well, we're here to let them know that it's okay to stand up and it's okay to say no. Because when you're dealing with this, all you have to say is that you don't consent. So what do we say? We do not consent.
We do not consent!
We do not consent.
We do not consent!
We want to make sure that every person who's struggling over the past year, whether it be financially or mentally, gets the help that they need. We want to make sure that we protect people who are running their own business. We don't want people to be losing their business. I don't know about you, but I walk around my local area and there are countless businesses that are closed now. Countless businesses that are for sale or for lease. And you know what? The demand isn't even there. Why is that? Because everyone's been expecting this lockdown. We all knew that there was going to be a third one. So why would people travel over here if they're afraid that they're going to get shut out from their own homes? The border restrictions are not reasonable. We are all Australian. They're dividing us by states, so that way we won't even look over the border and see what they're going through. Well, you know what? I care about every single person in every state of Australia. They may play the divide and conquer game, but we say no more. No more division!
No more division!
No more division!
No more division!
We're all Australian!
We're all Australian!
We're all Australian!
We're all Australian!
We are a proudly multicultural country, and there are countless people who have fled here from fascism and communism looking for a better life. They did not come here. We will not allow the economic destruction to pave the way for communism. We will not allow fascism to be the means of keeping us safe. We will not allow orders to be given to the people who are meant to be standing here for us. We have to make sure that we stand up for them. When they're given orders that are not right, we have to make sure that we tell them we say no. So that way they know that they can say no as well. They are responsible to make sure that they uphold the right. They have to make sure that they are defending our human rights. As so in the Human Rights Charter of Victoria, we will not allow the police to be used as the arm of the government to strong-arm Victorians into caving under this pressure. We will not allow this lockdown to happen one more time. We say no more lockdown!
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 Free Victoria!
Free Victoria!
Free Victoria!
Free Victoria!
Shut down your actions!
Shut down your actions!
Shut down your actions!
Shut down your actions!
We have to let them know that lockdowns are not acceptable in the way that they breach our human rights. We have to make sure that every person, I don't care where you sit politically, I don't care what your views are on anything. If this impacts you, you have the right to say no! We will not comply!
We will not comply!
We will not comply!
We will not comply!
We are free!
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 We have rights!
We have rights!
We have rights!
We have rights!
Our kids have rights!
Our kids have rights!
We won't comply!
We won't comply!
No masks! No hiding in your bloody house! Get out, go to the park, take your kids to the park, go to the shop, who gives a shit about what you are doing the filthy restaurant? Morgan C. Jonas, does everyone want to hear from Morgan Jonas?
That I am so extremely proud of each and every one of you who say no to that evil dictator. And we all agree that the Premier of Victoria is nothing but a criminal that belongs behind bars. Lockdowns have nothing to do with the virus, nothing to do with keeping you safe, and everything to do with keeping you under the thumb of the government.
Control, that's what it is.
Lockdowns achieve nothing but misery and the destruction of lives and businesses.
Destruction of the middle class.
Victoria Police, what are you going to do when it strikes midnight? Are you going to see a replay of Cup Day? Victoria Police are meant to enforce the law without fear or favour. They have shown complete bias And it's enough. It has to stop. I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I'm so proud of all of you, honestly. I feel so emotional. It's time that Melbourneians stand up and say no. God bless you all. God bless Australia.
Human rights matter! Human rights matter! Human rights matter!
Let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth of toil. Our home is good by sea. Our lands abound in nature's gifts. Our beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advanced Australia fair.
Everyone learn your Constitution. Section 109, Section 5123A, Section 92 regarding border closures. All of this has case law behind it. Hundreds of sections of case law. And guess what? Case law does not have an expiry date. This is all utterly unlawful. Everybody stand up for your rights. Wake your neighbours up. Wake your communities up. For the sake of our children and our children's children.
So for all those people who are at home and are scared, let's let them know that there's nothing to fear. No more fear. No more fear. No more fear. When you're in a state of fear, you aren't able to think clearly. You just look to authority for the answers. We have to make sure that we are turning to each other. Go ask your doctors what you need to ask. Turn towards the people that you trust. Ask questions. Demand evidence. We have to make sure that we demand better. We will not allow these restrictions to be placed without evidence being presented as to how they're actually going to help anyone.
First, it was 14 days to stop the spread. And then it was flatten the curve. And then they locked us down. And then they let us have some freedoms for a bit. And now there's this vaccine coming out. And now they lock us down again. Now we must say no. No, we must say no more lockdown. No more lockdown. The question needs to be asked, do lockdowns even work?
No, they do not.
Many world-renowned epidemiologists, immunologists and virologists, they say two things. They say lockdowns don't work and they cause more harm than good. So we must ask ourselves, why are our public health officials now locking us down again? No more lockdowns! No more lockdowns! No more lockdowns! No more lockdowns! Each and every one of you here, to do your research about this vaccine. It is not a vaccine. It is not a vaccine at all. Tell your friends, tell your family, warn them, let them know the risks, and then ultimately they will make the decision for themselves. Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of 900 people plus, close to 1,000 now, and we're against this lockdown. Now, I started this group about 5 years ago, and slowly but surely, I come across people like Jackie, I come across people like Will, I come across real people, real Australians, who've had enough of this garbage. We weren't born yesterday. You don't have to have a degree to realise whether something is good or bad. It's not rocket science, as this girl's mentioned right at the front, and that's so true. And I say to all of you, you've got to get out and share this with other people. I share this with people on the tram, on the train, and wherever I go. That's how I got 1,000 members. I don't have a Facebook account because I know they'd shut me down. I released a book, but you wouldn't know about it because they don't want my kind of stuff out there. But as we come together, we have to solve our differences very quickly and come to the general consensus. And if someone says no to the masks, well, agree with them and say, well, come and join us. If they say, I want to take the vaccine, well, you can talk them against it if you try, but it won't work. So at least you can agree with no masks, but come across something that you do agree on, and slowly but surely they will see the truth. We have to share this information, and we say, No more masks, no more lockdown, no more charades and lies. I recommend people to go listen to Robert O. Young. He's a well-known doctor of nutrition. He's written countless books, and he tells you the truth about the vaccine lie. He tells you the truth about what's really affecting your cells. He talks about 5G and all that which is outside of what's happening right now. Because last year, God knows how much they pushed that 5G. And we're not going to talk about that, but it's all interrelated. The same things are going through. They have their agenda. I'm against the Illuminati. That's me. I hope more people will join me.
But the vaccine companies are indemnified. They are not accountable. They are not accountable for the poisons they are creating. If anybody is considering a vaccine, please go to your doctor, ask them to put for you in writing the ingredients of a vaccine. If they want to continue with the false narrative, you shove a bit of paper in front of them telling them that they are accountable, and they won't sign it.
Yeah, we are the 99%. Yeah, we are the 99%. We are mighty because we are the 99%. You can stick around in a virus up your butt. You can stick around in a virus up your butt. You can stick around in a virus. Because I'm no science. Stick around in a virus up your butt. Because we are the 99%. Yeah, we are the 99%. Yeah, we are the 90%. Together we are mighty, cause we are the 99%. You can stick the poison vaccine up your ass. You can stick the poison vaccine up your ass. You can stick the poison vaccine. Stick the poison vaccine. Stick the poison vaccine up your ass. Why? Cause we are the 99%. Yeah, we are the 99%. Singing we are the 90%. Together we are mighty, cause we are the 99%.